In his speech today, he'll highlight some of his learned running tips from putting the shoe to the pavement leading up to the Chicago Marathon. The title of his speech is If You Want the Prize. Please welcome Darron Birchmeyer.
Ready? Good afternoon, fellow Toast members. Greg, thanks for the warm introduction. I'm sure all of us have heard the saying, if you do the crime, you have to do the time. I'm not here to talk about crimes. I'm just going to paraphrase that. Say, if you want the prize, you have to put in the time. If you want the prize, you have to put in the time. The prize that I'm talking about is this medal. This medal was given to me after I completed the Chicago Marathon back in 2002. 26.2 miles. I wanted this prize. I wanted it. And with that, I knew that I had to put in the time. Not very many of us get up and say, oh, there's a marathon in Lansing. I'm going to go run it. Maybe Greg. He's tougher than I am. Not many will. So that's what I want to talk to you about this afternoon, is putting in the time to get to that marathon finish line. I'm not trying to make all of you marathon runners, but I will stand before you and say, I am nothing special. I'm no world-class athlete. Put in the time, you will get to the finish line. When I talked about running a marathon, one of the first things people said is, oh, you have to get a training program. And I thought, you mean I have to hire somebody? Obviously not. You go to a website, and you get one of these training programs. 16 weeks. And if somebody would have said, and that's one of the biggest shockers to me, 16 weeks I can be trained for a marathon. And it's true. 16 weeks, there's your running, your 26 miles. Go back 16 weeks from the date of the marathon. Follow this program. Obviously, week 1, it shows you're running 15 miles. If you're not ready to run 15 miles in a week, obviously you back the training program up a little bit farther, and that's what I did. I started in January, to where when the program started, I was ready to do the 15 miles in week 1. Have the training program. Very, very important. Step number 2 is make it a priority. 16 weeks of your life is going to be very hectic. You're going to be spending a lot of time either on the treadmill or outside on the roads. You have to make it a priority. And you can see in this training program, there's no weeks off. There's no vacation weeks. Now, I will be honest, I missed one of these days and one of these days. But I did not miss one of these. If you're going to run a marathon, you are not going to miss any of these days. These longer run days where 5, 7, 10 miles. Those longer runs that gain the endurance, that get your heart rate ready to run those longer distances. So you have the training program, you make it a priority. Third step is you run with somebody else. Very, very critical. Because it gets to the point where 5 miles, yeah, I can do that on my own. 7 miles, maybe I need the iPod. 10 miles, get a little bit farther, a little bit harder. 14 miles, very difficult to do by yourself. Because what likely would happen is, I'm going to do 14 miles Saturday morning. And you get up and you get 7 miles under your belt, 8 miles, 9 miles. Maybe I'll just quit for the day. But if you're running with somebody, 2 or 3, 5, whatever, 10 people, you're not going to quit. And you know what? They're not going to quit on you either. Have the training program, make it a priority, and run with other people. You do those 3 things, put the training in, I think you can get to that finish line. Now I mentioned 2002, got this medal. I started following this program, 37,500 runners in Chicago. This was similar to what we saw. Wall-to-wall people. The first 4 to 5 miles, you're elbow to elbow. It's going to be slow. And people prepared me to say, it is going to be slow going. Take your time. Don't be frustrated. Don't go out too fast, because you are going to be so amped up and ready to fly through. But I wasn't ready to fly through 26 miles. wall-to-wall people. But you get going and you're mile 5, mile 7, mile 10, and you're running with people all the time. It's very encouraging. About mile 12 or 13, this was the scene. And I'm glad it wasn't, we don't have audio here because I was more barking than asking. But this is my lovely wife, and I'll tell her that. Inside that backpack, she had Advil. My knee was starting to hurt. Took some Advil, took some Gatorade, off we went. Mile 17, mile 18, mile 19. I really like Major League Baseball. And one of the things we saw along the route is Comiskey Park, where the White Sox play baseball. And I remember thinking, that's mile 24. 2 miles away from there I was, and I remember thinking, if I get there, I'm at mile 24. I'm striking distance from being done. Run by Comiskey Park. Mile 25, some fraternity guys are standing alongside the road, offering cups of beer. Hey, you made it this far, have a glass of beer. That'd be crazy. Some people did, I didn't. Mile 25 and a half, you're running through a tunnel. And you go in and it's dark and you can see the light of the tunnel. And I don't know if they planned it this way or not, but it was very creative. Because it's like you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You're about finished. And they got music blaring. And for anybody that's ever ran a mile or 26 miles, you know, you hear music, it's just like you're kicking another gear. I can accomplish this. Mile 26, you see a sign. 26 miles, 0.2 to go, you can do it. Well, heck yes, I can do it. I've done 26, what's another less than half of a mile? The thing I really like about running, regardless of the distance, is pictures like this. Everybody's there to succeed. Everybody wants you to succeed. You want to see these sites where I don't care what shape or age or color or anything, everybody wants you to succeed. You don't know these people, you're going up and giving them high fives. It's a great accomplishment. And you don't know their story or their pain or their commitment that they went through to get to this point. This was after the race, to give you this tie-back thing to keep you warm. Keep in mind it was 40 degrees that day, but you've been running for 4.5 hours. You're warmed up, but you need to stay warm. This was a couple of my training partners, a couple neighbors. And you'd be amazed the stories you hear when you're running with somebody for 2.5, 3 hours at a time. The things you learn about their life. You gotta have something to talk about. I go back to this training program. Have the training program, make it a priority, and run with others. You do those 3 things, and like I said, I'm nothing special. Anybody can run a marathon. I'm not trying to make all of you marathon runners, but you could be. Do these 3 things, you can get the prize. But if you want the prize, you have to put in the time. Back to you.